Of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Let us do something a little different today. Let's take ourselves back as if in meditation to the time of Omar Khayyam. Imagine yourself in Iran, in Persia, we now call Iran, perhaps somewhere in the middle there, and take yourself into a pottery shop. Of course, pottery was a big industry in former times. So there you are. It's the close of the day. It's during the month of Ramazan, which is a month of fasting and prayer during the day. And then you can have a meal after dark, as you may know, as we are, in fact, I think in the middle of Ramazan right now, worldwide. And so Ramazan here for the poem represents meditation, prayer. And so at the close of the day, maybe it's sort of a hot, dusty day as things can be there in the Middle East. And the close of day mean I'm coming to the end of my meditation, okay? And the moon hasn't quite come up. The moon symbolizes for me the appearance of the inner light, the jyoti, the spiritual eye. And in that twilight between finishing, let's say, my meditation and coming into, the active day or whatever, I feel the presence of spirit, this presence of stillness. And it's as if I can feel the population of people and objects in the world around from the quiet inner space. And it's as if I alone exist, I am. And all other things of manifestation are still and quiet, inert, as it were. And I can feel their presence, I can observe their presence, but right now they're outside the purview of my connection, okay? So I'm going to read this quatrain 59. Listen again, which is to say, hear me carefully. One evening at the close of Ramazan, ere the better moon arose, so at the end of my time of meditation, before the inner light awakened, in that old potter's shop I stood alone. That potter's shop is, potter's shop. Of course, God's creation. In that old potter's shop I stood alone. As I said before, we're on the twilight of finishing our meditation and being very, very still. And that all of creation is also still, and as I said, inert. So in that old potter's shop of creation, I stood alone, and I stood still, with the clay population round in rows. So in the potter's shop, you see the rows of clay pots being dried or being prepared to be whatever they do in a kiln, burnt or roasted or fired, I guess, in the kiln. So this is an image, a poetic image of what it can feel like sometimes in meditation, when I'm very still, aware of the world around, but not yet back into the world around. So let me play Swami Kriyananda.
Stanza 59. Listen again, one evening at the close of Ramazan, ere the better moon arose. In that old potter's shop I stood alone, with the clay population round in rows. Paraphrase. Hear me carefully. I was seated one evening toward the close of meditation, ere the moon of divine insight had risen to my inward gaze. Introspectively, in the twilight aloneness of my soul, I pondered on that presence from which all creation flows, and by which countless souls are encased in human bodies. Some while I lingered, withdrawn from the earthly hubbub, yet aware of it.
In meditation, sometimes there comes, quite apart from the lingering population around us, there comes to our inner hearing and awareness the hubbub of our own subconscious mind. It's as if you were, let's say, in a home or at a place where there's a party going on, but you're in an adjoining room, and maybe the door is closed, so you can't hear the words that are being said, but you hear the hubbub, okay? And sometimes that happens in meditation. You're in this sort of twilight between the, how does he put it, ere the better moon arose, between the complete internalization of your consciousness on inner awareness, astral perceptions, for example, light and inner sounds, etc. And yet you're still more in the mindfulness stage, but your conscious awareness is still. And yet, sort of at the lower part of the brain, as it were, there is still a hubbub, a population of jostling, crowded thoughts. And those are murmuring and muttering and carrying on, and you're not really being drawn in by those thoughts and those conversations between the hoi polloi of your subconscious mind, and yet you're still aware of it. So you haven't really, maybe in the case of the poem, you've come down from superconscious awareness or beyond body awareness, etc. But and you're coming back into it, but you're not fully engaged. But in the explanation Yogananda gives, he suggests that when we come out of meditation, that we extrude. I like that word, extrude. We elongate. We draw into our active conscious, our conscious activities, the feeling and sort of presence of mind, the mindfulness of that inner awareness, which is all that is, that indwelling presence of consciousness out of which appear the various objective manifestations in the world. And so he suggests that I'm thinking of particularly of a morning meditation, which is often for people their better meditation compared to the evening, not all. And when we come out and begin to enter activity, maybe go for a quiet, calm walk, just feeling the presence of birds and animals, the air, and people doing their things. Or if not a walk, then as you move into your day's activities, perhaps making your breakfast, things like that, that you retain that apartness, that separateness, well, that's not the word I want, separateness, but that inner calmness, that mindfulness, awareness of that presence, so that you can take that further and further out into the day. At night, if you meditate before sleep, then you would take that presence into the subconscious state of sleep. I think that's about all I have to say about that. So I will sign off today, and this is a reminder to bring your meditation into daily life. I'll close, however, with a thought that's been persistent and consistent for me the last year or two in working with myself and other people, which is the battle that folks feel in monkey mind and in resistance to meditation, beginning and end of the day, can be overcome, or at least improved, when we extrude, when we take meditation into the day, even into our sleep, actually. You can practice watching the breath as you lie there to go to sleep, or watch practicing the breath when you first awaken, but before you get up from bed. But more importantly, if during the day you can stop and look up, pause the mind, let the mind be still, not so much as you stare at anything in particular, but you just sort of withdraw inwardly with eyes open. Or you can close the eyes, it's fine, but in other words, to be aware. Or to do an affirmation, maybe mentally or out loud at different points during the day. Or sing a chant softly out loud or just mentally at different points during the day. The more you can take the different pieces of your meditation routine into the day, the more peace you'll find in the day, and the easier it will be at the end of the day to simply want and find it natural to meditate. Okay, great souls, that's it for this beautiful, glorious spring day from Camino Island, where the birds are singing and the sky is blue and the water, the ocean is blue, and Mount Baker and all the volcanic peaks of the range of mountains here, the Cascades, are in full view for some of us on this glorious spring day. Okay? You'll see Padma tomorrow as I take us out of broadcast mode.